Greetings and salutations, gamers. Welcome back to the Gaming Butler news channel. The December developer livestream for Ashes of Creation was delayed by a week, but a huge reveal was the reason. As usual, there was a ton of information to digest, so let's get to it. If you would like to support our channel, please consider using this referral code when you sign up for an Ashes of Creation account. You can find the code below in the description as well. This referral program allows for a portion of your purchases to benefit this channel by way of kickbacks from Intrepid Studios for our own game accounts. As usual, the live stream started off with Margaret Crone, the community marketing lead, discussing some reminders. There was an important web update that went live on December 14th. This will require new info to be entered upon your next login if you haven't already done so. Contact emails have been updated, some error messages have changed, fixes for duplicate accounts, and bug fixes were all part of the overhaul. More SSO and support page changes are slated for the near future as well. In the coming weeks, approved website design updates will be tested and then deployed. A reminder, if you'd like to snag those frozen festivity cosmetics, you have until January 12th, at which time they will no longer be offered and the as of yet unannounced January set will replace them. New emotes have been crafted and deployed for your usage on the forums and Discord channel. The griefing discussion yielded a ton of spirited conversation and feedback that the Intrepid team is eager to dive into as they use those thoughts to craft a path forward in the PvP realm. Head over to the forums to participate in the current dev discussion titled Holidays, where the question being asked is your desire as a player to have a real-world holiday attuned with in-game events, or whether you'd prefer they were kept separate. Also on the forums is an active conversation around guild thoughts on spies and intrigue. You can find links to both conversations in the description below. And now for the studio update. Stephen Sharif, the creative director for Ashes of Creation, had nothing but great things to say about the progress of the team. He mentioned that everything is amazing and December was really a unifying point for many projects occurring in October and November. Stephen went on to admit that 2021 was a huge year and 2022 would be even bigger yet. Morale is high and hiring continues to go very well. Many new additions to the team came on board in December with another round of new hires set for January, and significantly more staff will be joining the Intrepid team as 2022 rolls on. So if you or someone you know is looking for a great job in games, consider sending in a resume to Intrepid Studios. On to the design segment and the big reveal. Okay, the reason for the December livestream being delayed by 1 week was the extra time the Intrepid team needed to organize their big reveal, which is, drumroll please, Unreal Engine 5. Stephen and the team have made a huge decision to migrate the entire Ashes of Creation project over to UE5 for completion and long-term development. For those of you not familiar with game production, changing engines in the middle of development is almost unheard of. I can't overstate the magnitude of this decision, as it not only impacts the development timeline and trajectory right now, but also has huge implications for the long-term health of Vera. A warning up front, what follows from here on out is extremely technical verbiage and game design terminology. I hope you find it as fascinating as I do, because it's very rare to get this much transparency with a game in the middle of its development cycle. So buckle up, let's take a look. What you are seeing here is a 4K video that is currently up on YouTube and can be found at the link below in the description of this video. Stephen started off with some history of this process. Back in August of 2021, Alpha 1 ended and Stephen formed a strike team to start evaluating Unreal Engine 5. Working through all of the August and September timeframe before delivering a unanimous consensus that the move to UE5 would be good for the team and the game. In October of 2021, lead designer McP and his team began the migration process, and November saw the code actually being migrated over to Unreal Engine 5. By the second week of January, the entire Ashes team will be fully working on and in UE5, and the development process will continue. There were three main reasons for taking on the big decision and huge task of changing engines mid-development. The first was longevity, capability being the second, and workflow the third. Let's delve a bit more into those elements, starting with longevity. Unreal Engine 4 began development in 2004 and was released in September of 2014. From a software standpoint, that makes UE4 an 8-year-old system. Technology has changed quite a bit since then. So for the long haul, this was an important decision to get long-term engine support for a game that will hopefully be around a very long time. Since Ashes of Creation was in the semi-early stage of development, this decision made sense. It was a very real possibility that Ashes would cease having support for UE4 over its lifespan. Moving to UE5 removes that concern for the foreseeable future. Now let's talk capability. Unreal Engine 5 primarily updates the renderer, giving access to the two big workhorses of UE5, Nanite and Lumen. The company that produces Unreal Engine is called Epic, and here are two definitions directly from their website. Nanite is Unreal Engine 5's new virtualized geometry system, which uses a new internal mesh format and rendering technology to render pixel scale detail and high object counts. It intelligently does work on only the detail that can be perceived and no more. Nanite's data format is also highly compressed and supports fine-grained streaming with automatic level of detail. Lumen is the default global illumination and reflection system in Unreal Engine 5. It renders diffuse into reflection with infinite bounces and indirect specular reflections in large detailed environments at scales ranging from millimeters to kilometers. Boy, try saying that 3 times fast. Steven spoke at length about the capability of Unreal Engine 5 compared to UE4. Nanite provides a new approach to rendering art and workflow, as the team can now render more actors with high detail while eliminating the need to make normal map textures. For artists, they can now import high-quality sculpted meshes directly into UE5 without having to reduce poly count. This makes workflow more efficient while simultaneously improving the quality of the art. One big example of the updated technology is the tower scene shown in the walkthrough and preview trailers. That tower has 5 to 6 million polygons all by itself. The level of detail the assets would normally have to make is now handled largely by Nanite, which is what makes it such a powerful tool. Speaking of Lumen, this new tool gives much more realistic approach to lighting than UE4 does. It uses dynamic global illumination, which really brings the world to life. Previously, tools like ray tracing were the go-to, but that was found to be too expensive. Lumen solves this problem in UE5, where the global illumination essentially stimulates light by bouncing light off surfaces, reflecting that light and igniting colors from the surface into the surrounding area. These effects are most notable in dungeon environments due to the previous de facto lighting method, which was the skylight actor. Lumen is orders of magnitude better than skylight, which was almost exclusively used for world illumination. Since there is no sun in dungeons, the skylight was always very inaccurate. Lumen improves visual fidelity and performance of the game with reduced work and effort required by the team, allowing the game to be much more beautiful than what it would be in UE4. Unreal Engine 4 had a 20-kilometer constraint that is now no longer present in UE5 with its large world support. This is an extremely important upgrade for huge open-world MMOs such as Ashes of Creation. Lastly, of the key elements for this engine change was workflow. Unreal Engine 4 functioned with a sub-level system, where only one developer at a time could check out and work on a sub-level. UE5 has what they call cells, which allows multiple developers to work in one cell at a time, which is an enormous upgrade to workflow and pipeline improvement. At this point, Margaret conducted a mini Q&A just about Unreal Engine. Here's what we learned. The Intrepid team is indeed using UE Early Access. The process for upgrading to UE5 has been ongoing for a few months and will take a couple more months to complete. The big question on everyone's mind, though, was, will this delay the game? This is hard for anyone to answer for several reasons. First, there is no release date for the game, and there never has been a publicly released target date either. So even if it does delay it, we would never know. Secondly, Steven doubled down again on his ever-present philosophy that the game will be released when it's ready and not before. Since they do not report to shareholders, nor are they beholden to production companies, they can take their time. This also means it is impossible to predict if the engine change would cause a delay, because virtually anything could. But again, delay implies a deadline, of which there is none. Lastly, while some of the team was taken off task for this migration and the rest of the team is now working on migration, thus consuming several months of effort, the amount of time gained from the efficiency of the aforementioned workflow upgrades will reduce the timeline. Those 2 points will likely cancel each other out, and over the long term, the gains will be significant, potentially bringing us closer to release than we might have been with Unreal Engine 4. Steven then spoke to the locomotion changes seen in the video, especially as it relates to PvP. He was careful to say that everything they implement is done with the end system in mind, and PvP is a core element of the game. Their intention is to make sure that changes don't negatively affect their vision of PvP in Ashes of Creation. Their hope is that interacting with obstructions will add a fun dynamic rather than take away from the experience. But as with all things, as testing happens, if it's just not working, they will roll it back in favor of the vision. The next question was about UE5 changing abilities or spell effects, and as of this moment, there is no perceived functionality impacts, but spell effects may be improved. It was at this point that Steven made one of the most impactful statements of the live stream. Check it out.
One of the promises that I want to keep is that that launch is not going to be mired in problems, that the game is going to stay true. Exactly. The game is going to stay true to...
We'll have bugs. Everyone has bugs.
Of course.
Yeah.
No.
I just want to
I think the player base knows what I'm talking about with certain games.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That should not have been launched when they were launched.
So there you have it. Steven has stated that he is really shooting for the moon with Ashes of Creation, aiming for a problem-free launch with regards to how the game works, with the usual caveat that launch days are always rough. With thousands of people, new accounts, starter zones, and the like, no launch is ever truly problem-free. But there is a difference between day one server population issues and a game that just doesn't work. Next up on this massive live stream was an update to Siege Battles. Back in September, we showed you this video of 1,000 entities standing still, no animation, with a couple pieces of armor. At the time, the gains were significant, bringing 12 draws per player down to 1 by accepting parameters from each modular section: feet, hands, legs, etc. This change allowed for a jump from 7 to 20 frames per second, which may not sound like much to the untrained, but I can assure you is significant. The next step was implementing that shader for the player to allow changes in pieces of armor, and updated the parameters for the draw call dynamically. The final step, being shown here, was extracting code from the player and implementing it in a generalized way to be used for any object in the game that needs a modular appearance. What you are seeing is the new modular appearance component, which can combine any set of meshes into a single material and single mesh at runtime. The team is working on combining player materials to reduce the draw call on the GPU from many calls per piece to just one. For example, rather than different calls for head, boots, chest, legs, feet, weapons, shield, mount, cloak, etc., it's now just one call via every character rendered using a single material. This scene is over 1,300 different entities or actors with 2 to 3 different modular components and data attached, instructing them to create random generated appearances, then being told to play combat animations. These are simulated players in battle with combat animations, effects, and of course, the nanite environment with particle effects. This technology will combine to allow the many options such as weapons, armor, mounts, custom mount appearances through the animal husbandry system, and more, all running on a single draw call, which allows the GPU to render modular meshes efficiently. This is being done to accommodate the client-side GPU and what it needs to do to render all of this. The intention is to allow for a wide array of GPUs to play Ashes of Creation. This video being shown is at 1080p at 30 frames per second. The merge process is multi-threaded and won't cause any hitching. It can work for any modular appearance, as stated before, characters, mounts, weapons, and even motes. The data-driven component means a near infinite number of combinations. The main objective has always been, and continues to be, to offer massive player battles. It can't be understated how important this is to the idea of big battle scenarios coming to life, and the future of what Ashes of Creation will offer the MMO community. And finally, for this segment, Steven mentioned there is a huge update to character customization coming up in the next month. Their intention is to get a focus group of testers to see what the limitations are and continue iterating on that system to adjust from there. This month, for new environment art, we were treated to the following Empyrean items: a table, a stool, a box of bottles of spice, another stool, an archery target dummy, a beautiful and creative cooking rack, and lastly, a street sign. Next up, some Kalar items: a chair, a boat, a chest, another road sign, a love seat, another chair, and finally, a table. Up first on the character art segment is a beautiful set of armor titled The Vestiges of Steel Bloom, showing off the high fidelity of reflection from shined armor and an impressive cloth texture. Shown during the UE5 video, this is the Carmine Carapace armor and a gorgeous polearm or glaive type weapon. This is a turntable of the Moonstrider, also shown in the aforementioned video. Steven mentioned this was one of their very first mount models. A new pet was showcased, the Wretched Referral, designed by Margaret Crone herself. As seen in the walkthrough was another one of my favorite mounts to date, the Drake of the Canopy. Steven is still hoping for some additional effects such as falling leaf particulate when the wings flap. If ever Intrepid was going to offer sculptures for the desk or shelf, this one would be a great option. Rounding out the live stream as usual was a question and answer segment with questions from the community. Here's what we learned. Players are not encouraged to purchase cosmetic packs to feel like they have a voice. Everyone's voice can be heard and people can participate in more ways than monetarily. No weight or power is given to those who purchase packages other than alpha and beta access. But that still doesn't mean that anyone's opinion is valued above others, especially from a monetary standpoint. Steven was specific in saying that part of being transparent as a game company means you, the player, can participate without financially backing the project. Margaret added that cosmetics will not be available at level 1, which many seem to have concern around. There will be work necessary to have to attain an item with a cosmetic slot. Continuing on, escort quests will have variable movement speed on the NPC being escorted, dueling inside of freeholds and other safe zones will be allowed, siege scrolls will indeed expire, and the mayor of the target town will get a notification of impending sieges. At max level, there will be plenty of incentive to continue playing. Elements of progression will exist in areas such as economy, crafting, political systems, castles, mayorship, wars, PvP elements, raids, and housing, just to name a few. The last question was around revealing armor, and the answer was that there will be armor that is more revealing, but never nudity. And now, for your moment of zen.
So we didn't have much time to evaluate UE5. No! No! Bad deer! Not like this. Hold on, I'm sorry. Yes, okay, go away. Go back. Perfect. Why are you stopping there? Alright.
That's our massive update for December 2021 on the State of the Union for Ashes of Creation. All the links referenced in this video can be found below in the description. If you enjoyed this video and would like to be notified of more, hit the like button, ring the notification bell, set it to all, and leave us a comment below. As always, there's a straw poll for you to cast a vote as well. Please be sure to check out the other content on the Gaming Butler news channel as we track several other games. Thank you, and see you next time. Oh my goodness. A warming front is rolling in here on the Ashes of Creation weather report. No dying on camera, that would be bad. Let's pause. Let's pause for another shot of giggle juice. Notice how it doesn't make me giggle. So little does these days. We did it. Holy crap. 27-minute video.